I'm Daniel, and I'm bisexual, and I produce those intimate stories for restless hearts, those ones that make you question everything and think, those ones that make you sometimes wanna drink.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Amira McCoy Project audio drama podcast. My name is Danielle, and I'll be your host for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And this evening, we have reached our final conclusion to a play that we have been broadcasting for the last few weeks. It's called Under Candlelight, and it's a story exploring the forbidden love between Alain and Andre in 1950s Paris, France. Tonight, it's 1980, and a French art student named Julien has taken a shine to the paintings of Alain Duval and the depictions of Andre and Alain's love. Tonight, they'll be presented to a gallery for the first time.
The gallery was filled with warm light and the murmur of voices, critics, collectors, students, couples holding hands. The exhibition's title glowed softly on the wall, Sous les chandelles, the rediscovered works of Alain Duval, 1919 to 1976. Julien stood at the edge of the crowd, heart pounding. He was no longer the shy student Andre had met 2 years before. Tonight, he was the curator, the keeper of a story too long hidden. Behind him, the centerpiece painting, Sous les chandelles, hung beneath a single spotlight. The river, the fog, the two figures. Between them, that trembling light, once mistaken for a candle, now recognized as love itself. Andre sat quietly in the front row, a cane resting against his chair. He wore a dark suit, perfectly pressed, and a silver pin in the shape of a flame. His eyes were steady but wet at the corners. Julien stepped up to the podium. He looked at the audience, at all the faces waiting, curious, unknowing, and then at Andre, who gave him the smallest nod.
Good evening. Tonight we gather not just to celebrate an artist, but to resurrect a truth that was never allowed to be spoken. For decades, Alain Duval's paintings were misread as studies of solitude, quiet men, distant figures, landscapes of longing. But what we now understand is that they were portraits of love, a love the world forced into silence. Art is memory that refuses to die. In his final years, Alain left us a message hidden in pigment and shadow, a message for one man. It reads, A.L. forever. Andre Laurent is with us this evening. He is the A.L. behind these works. He kept the story safe when it could have been lost forever. This exhibition is not only a restoration of an artist's legacy, it is an act of love, a way of saying at last what could not be said under candlelight.
Applause began slowly, then swelled until it filled the gallery. Andre closed his eyes. For a moment it sounded like rain on a window. Like that night so long ago, he could almost feel Alain beside him again. We're seen now. When the crowd began to disperse, Julien walked over. Andre reached out and took his hand, the same way Alain once had.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure watching our story come to life this evening. You do so much for so many. If you ever need any more paintings for your gallery, or just someone to take coffee with, I would be very glad of the company.
Oh, Monsieur Laurent, the pleasure is all mine. He painted it, but you lived it.
The city had changed again. The cafes were fuller, the bridges busier, the laughter younger. Paris had moved on, but Andre had not. He was old now, his hands delicate, his hair silver and thin. Each morning, he walked the same path from his small apartment to the Seine, leaning on the same cane, pausing at the same railing where everything had once begun. He always stopped there, not to look for anyone, but to listen. The water below flowed quietly, heavy and endless. He would close his eyes and hear the echoes, footsteps on cobblestone, the flicker of candlelight, the low murmur of a voice he had not heard in decades, but could still feel against his skin. Alain had once said, "If I can't love you in life, I'll paint you in eternity." Now, eternity felt close. He had seen the exhibition many times, always quietly, after hours. The gallery kept it open for him on certain evenings, when the lights were dimmed and the city was asleep. He would sit in front of Sous les Chandelles alone, watching the painted candle flicker in silence. Sometimes he spoke to it. Sometimes he didn't have to. One evening the curator found him still there after closing, asleep in his chair, peaceful. In his lap was a folded letter. Inside, written in Andre's careful hand, "To whoever finds this, love doesn't die. It waits. Sometimes it waits in color, sometimes in silence, sometimes in another man's eyes across a dinner table. If someone looks at Alain's painting 100 years from now and feels something stir, a warmth, a sorrow, a memory they cannot name, let that be us. We lived quietly, but we loved loudly in our hearts, and that, I think, is enough. A.L." When the museum reopened weeks later, the letter was placed in a glass case beside the painting. Visitors read it in silence. Some smiled, some cried, and under the soft light of the gallery, Sous les Chandelles seemed to glow more than ever, as if the flame in the painting had grown stronger, not weaker, with time. That winter the Seine froze over briefly for the first time in years. At dusk, as the sun fell behind the bridges, the light scattered across the ice, shimmering gold, like hundreds of small candles burning on the river. The city carried on unaware. But somewhere between the water and the sky, two men walked side by side again, their shadows meeting at last. And this time, they did not let go.